Hi, everybody. It's Ashley from SurrogateFirst. I'm so excited to bring you another webinar. We will be talking about what to look for in a surrogacy agency if you are a surrogate. There are so many different things that we can do. And so I'm just so excited to be able to share with you and be able to talk about those possibilities. If you have any questions during this process, put them into the chat, or you can email us at info at surrogatefirst.com, or visit our website at www.surrogatefirst.com. Just one moment, please. I've got some technical difficulties, and so I'm going to just take one split second, and I'll be right back. Okay, thank you. Sorry about that. My charger for my computer was not working. Again, this is Ashley. I'm a 3-time surrogate with SurrogateFirst, and we are definitely going to be getting started. So when you're looking for an agency, it's really important to do your research. There are many great agencies out there, and there are some that are a little shady. You also need to find an agency that's going to fit you, what you're looking for, communications, communication types, also the compensation agreements, things like that, and then the support, understanding how the agency is set up, what a journey looks like. And so there's so many things we can go through. I am going to go through the basics at this point, and then we will kind of go over the rest. Now, if you are looking as an intended parent and you're interested in finding out questions to ask an agency as an intended parent, we will be doing that webinar in 2 weeks. So not next Wednesday, but the Wednesday after that. So I'll get started. We'll kind of go over things. It's important to know, how long has an agency been operating? Has it been a few years? Has it been decades? And then also understanding what type of education or what type of experience does the staff hold? Sometimes you can be a newer agency, but may have decades in the industry or in the field. So it's important understanding that. Another question I would ask is, have the coordinators and the support staff, have they been through surrogacy as an intended parent or a surrogate? Are they familiar with it from the IVF standpoint? That's another one that's an important question. How many surrogate arrangements has an agency facilitated over the last year? What size is the agency? And how long does it usually take to find the right intended parents? With surrogacy, it's important to know, will I be, matched quickly, or do you have to find the right parents for me as a surrogate? And so a lot of these questions can be answered in your first calls with an agency. Most times they're going to have you fill out an initial application to show if you're pre-qualified, if you meet the basic standards or requirements to become a surrogate, and they usually will reach out. But don't let that stop you from calling them directly and asking these questions. Anyone who answers the phone at the agency should be able to answer these questions or get you those answers as soon as possible. Over at SurrogateFirst, we have been, we're going on 4 years now. It's really went quickly. However, our founders were intended parents themselves. And then Lena, who is one of our founders, has many years, over a decade of experience as an IVF concierge. She helped families from finding the right clinics to egg donors and sperm donors, to even collaborating with other agencies. At that point, her heart was to start an agency from start to finish. And I know it sounds silly, SurrogateFirst, but there's a couple of reasons for that. One is, we find the match first before ever holding the parents' finances hostage. The other reason is, As a surrogate myself, I went to a larger agency and I kind of felt like a commodity. And I didn't like that. And at SurrogateFirst, we put the well-being of the surrogate first. We want to make sure that our surrogates are supported, that they've got the information and the knowledge, that they are supported in whatever's going on during the process, whether that be with the surrogacy or their own lives. We want to make sure that we are helping to create the safest environment for our intended parents' babies to grow. We're dealing with lives and it's a very serious thing. And so when you're interviewing agencies, make sure that they have that same heart that you have, that this is serious, that there's a lot, of people counting on us. And so make sure that you can count on your agency. Another question I would ask is, what is the agency's recommended surrogate compensation? An agency should never tell you you have to take their package, but they should have something to compare it to and understand if you need to make changes, and you be allowed to do that. And that would be a question. Am I allowed to make changes on the compensation? Now at SurrogateFirst, we do have a very in-depth compensation package. We feel it's very fair, but you do have that right to make those changes and to understand it before you sign any documents with your agency. Another question that's great is, are the agencies, surrogates and IPs screened? Have you been, do you administer any type of medical tests or psychological evaluations? Now, it might sound like a pain in the butt as a surrogate to have weeks of clearance items or screening or waiting for your medical records, but it's also to protect you. And at SurrogateFirst, we do background checks, full drug panels, medical record reviews. We will meet you and get to do a great tour of your home. And we're not doing this to be invasive. We're doing this to protect you and the parents. It is your health that is most important. You're a mother first, maybe a wife. And so we don't ever want to put you in danger. And so if your medical records do have something that could put you at risk or the baby at risk, it may not be a right decision for you to become a surrogate. But you should know that your agency cares enough about your life and the life of the child that you could potentially be growing to make those hard decisions. What is our typical caseload? That's an important question. Are you going to have a coordinator who's available to you? Now, we can't expect everyone and our coordinators to answer calls 24/7. Sometimes they may be out of range, or sometimes they may be sleeping. And so in those cases of emergencies, it's important to know if your agency has a 24/7 number. And we do. Here at SurrogateFirst, our owners and our founders are not just some Wizard of Oz behind the curtain. They're definitely hands-on. And so an emergency number will call me first as the director of intake. And if I don't answer that call, it gets automatically sent to our founders to help handle your problems. Because they have that heart and they want to make sure that you are never alone. And that also goes for our intended parent side. That number is for everyone. We want to make sure that you guys are educated and supported. And while we hope that it is a boring pregnancy and smooth and everything happens, things in life happen and nothing is perfect. And so you need to know you have that support. I unfortunately had an incident with my first pregnancy where I was rear-ended on a freeway at 36 weeks. And a couple days later, I went into labor. It was a Friday night and the hospital did not know what to do. They had the documents, my agency had sent them, but they were locked into the social worker's office. And I felt so alone as my intended mother tried to get up to see the birth of her baby. And I couldn't get a hold of the attorneys or people to help us. And no one followed our birth plan. And that's not okay. And so here we want to make sure you're supported no matter what happens. Another question I would ask is are there counseling services provided to surrogates and our families? That's a question to ask. What happens if I'm struggling with postpartum depression, or maybe I'm having a hard time during the pregnancy? It is important to talk with your agency and let them know that that is something that is important to you. We want to make sure that your mental health is provided for and that you are taken care of. We do have a lot of hormones that we take in the beginning, and then there's the pregnancy hormones. If that's something you want, you are more than welcome to have that here. Share your heart and ask, and we will make sure that that is put into your contracts, and your compensation agreement. The next questions I would ask is, how is escrow handled? Now, if you're first starting out with surrogacy, you may not know what escrow is. Escrow is a third party who will hold the funds for the journey. That way, the monies are protected, and you know that you have the monies for compensation, maybe medical, other benefits that are included in your plan, or anything that could happen. And so you want to know that your escrow is fully funded. Here at SurrogateFirst, we usually use a couple escrow companies. And one of those escrow companies I'll talk about kind of just in general is Seeds. We have picked out and recommend these escrow companies because they may have a 24/7 ledger where you're able to go on, see what things are being requested, see the timelines, get your emails, they're direct deposited. You never want to have an escrow company held by the agency. It's not protecting you as a surrogate and won't protect your parents as intended parents. So ask about that. Ask if they have direct deposit. Nothing worse than having a check for compensation and your reimbursements lost in the mail and waiting 7 to 10 days and then having to have that check stopped and then sent again. So check about that. The other thing is, do they have in-house attorneys? How do your attorneys get picked? When you're doing surrogacy and you're asking these questions to the agencies, make sure that you have the right to and have the option to pick your counsel. That is your counsel. And so you need to make sure that they are going to work best for you. Now, while the intended parents pay for that, it is important that you understand that. We will give you a list of several attorneys that we've either worked with or come highly referred in the surrogacy industry, but you are free to pick someone off of that list. Just make sure that they're Quad A certified and that they are familiar with the surrogacy laws and state statutes, as that is important as they review your contract and make sure that it protects you and has everything that you have agreed upon with the agency and the parents. Another thing I would ask is, has the agency ever been sued by clients or surrogates? That's something that's very important, and it happens in this industry. Luckily, we have not had that happen, but it does. And so check with your agency. I would also kind of ask things like, does the agency monitor and track and help you, with your reimbursements? Do they answer questions about those kind of items? And what are the next steps? What is your process? We do have a handy little handbook that kind of helps out. And most agencies have great websites that have blogs and frequently asked questions. And so those are definitely important to go over. But your coordinator should welcome your questions. They should be interested in making sure you're educated and that your answers are that your questions are answered. Where are the normal clinics that you work with? All agencies are different. We are open across the United States. We do not go international. Now our parents can be international, but clinics are always here in the United States. But where do you normally work? I'm out in Las Vegas. We have some amazing clinics out here in Southern Nevada. We work a lot with California clinics too. And then we work, throughout the country, in New York, Connecticut, Texas, Florida. Gosh, I'm trying to think. We have quite a few areas that we work with, but we're open to wherever the parents' clinics are. What does the process look like? They should be able to educate you on a timeline. How long does it take to be qualified? How long does it take to find the right family? On average, obviously things happen. And how long from the time I get, I'm matched to the time that I am pregnant? The other thing I would ask is, do I pick my family? You should be able to review a profile, make sure it's a good fit for you. And the parents review your profile and make sure it's a good fit. It is all your choice. You should not be told this is the family that you're matching with and that's it. You have a decision in this. You have a right to choose. And so make sure that your agency allows you to do that. What else would I say? Oh, do you have postpartum support or programs? What kind of support systems do you have in place? We have a health and wellness program. It is not as bougie as it sounds. You don't eat grass and run miles. But we have two amazing women who have created a program for our surrogates. They help you with nutrition and health and exercise before, during, and even 3 months postpartum. And it's all tailored to you. If you need help and you want to do a cleanse before you start your medications, great. If you're having some trouble with cravings, headaches, nausea, they'll look at your diet and help you with that too. If you have a goal for after you deliver and you're trying to reach that goal during postpartum, they're there for that too. So check what kind of programs they have. We also have a couple programs that are in the works right now, and I'm quite excited about. A mentorship program where you get to meet experienced surrogates in our agency, and they can connect with you and you guys can start a friendship and have that support of another person that's cheering you on. We also have a pretty amazing private SurrogateFirst group with over 100 surrogates there to support us, cheer you guys on, answer questions, and just kind of build a sisterhood. Now, if you're not into that, it's okay. It's not mandatory, but it is definitely valuable and it's a safe environment to ask your questions. I would also ask, how does reimbursement work? And that's kind of part of the escrow question. How does that work? Is there only once a month that I can put that in? Does it need to go in within a week or two? Those are questions that are important. And when you become a surrogate with us, ask those to the coordinator. She'll break it all down for you. Some escrow companies are a little different than others, but we should be able to answer that question as it pertains to a couple different a couple different escrow companies. I would ask, can I pick my own OB? How does health insurance work? These are important questions. And yes, you can pick your own OB. It should be someone who is in your area. Do I have to travel for surrogacy? Do I have to travel for birth? No, you should not be traveling for birth. You should be delivering at a local hospital as long as it meets the requirements. And most times that's a level 2 or level 3 hospital. You may have to go over a town, but it's just to keep you and baby safe. What are the qualifications? Now, I've done many of these webinars, and if you look back on our website, you'll see what the requirements are. If you have more questions, it's going to be coming in the upcoming months, but that should be clearly stated. What are the requirements? And I would say, gosh, let's see. Oh, one of my favorite questions. How did your agency get started? And what is your why? I think that's important to me because with my first agency, I didn't even know who owned it or the founders or where their heart was at it. And I'm sure they had an amazing heart because there are amazing parents and surrogates or people that have been, with the medical side of IVF that had a heart to help parents. But it's important to know the agency's why. What is their core foundation? What matters to them? So I know that I've kind of went over these things. We're doing pretty good on time. And I'll kind of just share our why. Our why is because the decades that Lena had in the industry, she sometimes saw that parents were not supported like they should be, or surrogates not supported like they should be. Agencies would drop the ball, maybe disappear, or maybe they wouldn't give that proper support. And because Lena cared and Jeff cared about bettering this field, they started SurrogateFirst. I can attest as one of the first surrogates that came over here that they do care. They asked their experienced surrogates and their current surrogates, how can we better the program? What can we do to support you? Not throw money, not do those kind of things, fairly compensate, but also treat you like the human being you are. And that's what you should be. You're committing to at least over a year, close to 2 years to help another family out. You want to make sure that when you make this commitment, you're not only making that commitment to the parents and to yourself, it's a commitment you're making with the agency too. And we should be able to commit to you. If you have any questions, I know this is some basic questions, but if you have questions, if you want to learn more, if you want to apply with our agency, you'll find all of the information out on www.surrogatefirst.com, or you can email info, @surrogatefirst.com. I am available on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. I believe I'm on Facebook. I'm Ashley SurrogateFirst Mareco. On Instagram, same name, Ashley SurrogateFirst. And on TikTok, I'm SurroAsh. But I'm here to just kind of answer questions. You don't have to commit to our agency. You can ask those questions freely. We're not somebody crazy who's going to track you down and stalk you. That's not how we do it. We believe that we're an amazing agency. We have a lot to offer you. We have some amazing parents with beautiful, heartbreaking stories that you could change their lives. And we're just here to try to connect people and help them grow their families. So I really appreciate you for your time. I'll come back in 2 weeks and we'll talk about intended parents, what they should be looking for at their agency. And I hope that one day, if you're watching this, we get to meet and I have the honor of helping you become a surrogate. So thank you so much for your time. I'm going to check if we have any more questions. And if we do, then I will definitely answer those. We don't. I tend to talk a lot. I think I answered them all. So have a great day. Thank you for your time. I'll see you in a couple weeks.